Welcome to Bleed Purple, a 10-part podcast about the 125-year history of Tarleton State University. Host Drew Myers will cover Tarleton's rich traditions, speak with notable alumni, and uncover the stories that give Tarleton its lasting legacy. Here's your host, Drew Myers.
Welcome to this episode of Bleed Purple, the podcast celebrating anything and everything Tarleton State University. We are telling the story of Tarleton through the stories of the people who bleed purple. I'm your host, Drew Myers. It's my honor and privilege to sit down with Emily Roberson and her daughter, Chandler Roberson. Now, let me say this. When we started this podcast, we were brainstorming, who do we need to bring on? Who do we need to talk about? What history do we need to share? Emily, your father, Chandler, your grandfather, kept coming up. J. Lewis Evans kept coming up. So my thing is, well, who's going to tell this story, right? And they said, we've got the perfect people, his daughter, Emily, and his granddaughter, Chandler. And I was like, let's ride, and here you guys are. Thanks for doing this. Because here's the thing. J. Lewis Evans bled purple. Emily, is that true?
That is absolutely correct.
Your dad loved this university.
He did. He did. Long history.
Let's talk about the history. Talked about it before we hit record on this. Just kind of hit the highlights of anything and everything that your dad did with or for this school.
Well, he started out as a student in
the 30s, yeah.
Late 30s and the early 40s. And then he went back after a time. He came back and was manager of the Tarleton bookstore for several years. And then he went on to do a career in journalism, and he came back in 1977 to Tarleton to work as the sports information director, the director of business development, and director of Alumni Association.
And he was those three roles at the exact same time, right?
Yes.
Because you said when he retired, they had to replace him with three people.
Correct.
That's impressive.
They did.
I like that.
They did.
So growing up in Stephenville, I mean, because your dad had this love for Tarleton, you were bleeding purple early in life.
Yes. Actually, my maternal grandmother was in the class of 1922, along with her three sisters, and they all played basketball for Tarleton at the same time. And they're the only four sisters, I believe, in the history of Tarleton to do that. And then my mom and dad both went to Tarleton, and then I attended Tarleton from 80 to 84, and then my daughter started Tarleton in 2013.
Okay, so Chandler, let me ask you this. I mean, was not going to Tarleton State University an option for you? Or, I mean, was this a foregone conclusion?
No, it really wasn't an option. This was pretty much set from, I'm sure, before I existed, to be honest with you, yeah.
How was your time when you went to school here at Tarleton?
It was good. It really helped kind of transform who I was. When I started in 2013, I was kind of the shy, kind of back row freshman, really introverted. I didn't take it upon myself to really kind of expand and gain, my opportunities and put myself out there. And so, when I started in 2013, I was in the graduate, and I graduated in 2019, but my degree was manufacturing engineering technology. And I had some really great mentors that kind of helped pull me out of that introversion. So it really kind of changed a lot of who I was and gained a lot of confidence. So overall, it was a great experience for me.
What kind of expectations did you have coming to school here because of your grandfather, because of your mom? I mean, there's a legacy within your family at Tarleton State.
There is, yeah. So I grew up, obviously knowing about Tarleton, going to football games, attending events, hearing about it through my grandfather's perspective, my mother's perspective. So when I came here, I kind of had this idea of, I knew it was tradition-based. I knew it was legacy. I knew there was a community and family, and I knew those were the values that Tarleton, exhibited and that I'd find on this campus, and that's exactly what I found. So there was no surprises there. I don't know. It just felt like the right thing to do. It was really ingrained in generation after generation that this is where I'd go.
Emily, great answer by your daughter, by the way. But something your dad wrote kind of captured what she just explained, right?
Yes,
now,
it did.
Again, your dad was an award-winning journalist.
Yes.
So when you told me that, I was like, I'm not surprised because I read The Spirit of Tarleton, this very poetic narrative about this university that was near and dear to his heart. Tell people that might not know, what is the Spirit of Tarleton?
Spirit of Tarleton was written by my dad. He was going to be the commencement speaker for my graduation from Tarleton in 1984. So they had asked him a year before, knowing that he was fixing to retire. And so he researched the information for this speech for almost a year. And he started at the very beginning as the spirit of, an itinerant farmer. And then it progressed with all the distinguished alumni from that time up until probably just a couple of months before our graduation. He included all of those people in that, which it was the spirit of Tarleton.
The essence of it was these people went on to do these great things, and with them always was the spirit of Tarleton. It's a very powerful narrative, and the cool thing about it, what I've learned, prepping for this interview, was the school celebrates that narrative, and they share that narrative. Maybe not everybody knows about it, but a lot of people are familiar with that. Now, Emily, I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk about Jesse. Okay, because you shared this story, and I think it's a great story. This is a lot. This is a colorful story about Tarleton. Go ahead.
Back when I was in school, there was my guy. I don't even know who he was. I don't remember his name, but he had a collie dog named Jesse, and that dog went everywhere with him on campus, everywhere, and he'd sit outside the door of the classroom until this guy got ready to leave, and he'd follow him, and everybody on campus knew who Jesse was. Well, that year, Jesse was crowned homecoming queen at Tarleton homecoming that year. And so when my dad mentioned that in the speech, it was at that point that the graduates in the gym at the time realized what Daddy was trying to say. When he said, I was the spirit of Tarleton. I was with Jessie when she was crowned homecoming queen. And I think that's when it hit those kids as,
the aha moment.
It was an aha moment, like, oh, now I can see where this has led. Yeah.
I love it. Chandler, were you familiar with the spirit of Tarleton before you came to school here?
I was familiar with it, yeah.
Okay.
I obviously didn't know all the ins and outs and all of the alumni and, that were mentioned in it, of course, and I didn't know all of their histories, but I knew where my grandfather was going with it, right? I knew why he was including those people, the outstanding accomplishments that they had and contributed to the university, why they were included, why it was important to mention them and recognize them. And as I came here, I saw several of, would see some of the names and of those people pop up occasionally, and just kind of being able to go back and reference that and see it as we went. And then kind of, hoping one day that, we might be able to circle back and add some more names to that would be really interesting. So
absolutely. Let's shift gears just a minute, Chandler. I'm going to stick with you. Tell me about your grandfather.
Oh, he was a really quiet guy. He had this air of just knowledge and control and dignification about him that he was someone that you looked up to. He was somebody that contributed consistently and considerably to the community and to Tarleton and to the family. And for me, he was after school activities. He was my go-to, what I looked forward to. He's what I looked forward to going on the weekends when we needed someone to watch us. He was a safe, comfortable person to talk to. He was family. He was kind of everything. And Jay was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. That was his team. I don't know if that's what stemmed into sports and that was what was hit for him. He was big into announcing football games and everything, but sports was kind of his thing. And the Cowboys were his team, and going on a Sunday afternoon, filling up a bowl of popcorn, watching the Dallas Cowboys play with him was one of our pastimes. So
he was very much into sports. He was too little to play physically, so he was the water boy for the Stephenville High School football team. And after that, he didn't ever play any sports, but he really enjoyed basketball, baseball. As you said, he started the Little League and announced the football games for Tarleton State University for, I believe it was 20 years, and never missed a game.
Impressive.
Yeah. He also announced the high school football games for many, many years, and then he also announced the Tarleton girls and boys basketball at the Wisdom Gym.
Emily, your dad did a lot. Chandler said he gave back to the community, he gave back to Tarleton. That does not do it justice. No offense, Chandler, that did not do it justice. I read your father's obituary, and that man had a giving heart, and he
did.
Took action and made things happen. Just some things that stood out to me. He created the Stephenville Little League.
Yes.
He created the Stephenville Hall of Fame. He created the Tarleton Hall of Fame. He was involved in countless number of civic organizations.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Was that just your dad?
I guess so. I mean, he was always like that as far as I remember. He was mayor when I was born, and several years prior to that. Daddy was always like that.
What do you remember most about your dad?
He was just a very loving, kind, considerate, warm man. He was always there when you needed somebody. And he was just a very special person. He was my rock.
Chandler, I want to switch gears again. I want to talk about something that you did super cool for your mom.
Okay.
Okay. So this is kind of how all of this is playing out in my head. Jay, that's how you refer to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laid this foundation for the family that you guys have been building on over the years. Okay. And Tarleton's involved in this foundation as well, right? But for your mom's 60th birthday, you created a scholarship fund in her name.
Yes, I did.
Girl. Okay. This has just shades of your grandfather all over it, that giving heart and that service. Talk to me about this, specifically why you wanted to start it and what did it mean to you to give that to your mom on her 60th birthday?
Of course. So my mother supported me financially when I went to Tarleton, right? And through her contributions and other scholarships that I got while I was here, I was able to graduate without taking out student loans, without debt, which is a massive blessing for me. It's a privilege that I don't take lightly. And upon talking with my mom about, kind of why she did it, which is not really, you don't really need the why, but she's my mom. She loves me. She wanted me to succeed, and she never hindered me from doing anything. She always supported me. She always believed that I could do whatever I wanted, whatever that may be, as long as it was through Tarleton, right? But in all sincerity, she did wholeheartedly support me. And kind of getting some of her history, I found that her grandmother, Opal Oxford, actually helped financially support her when she went to Tarleton. And between her and my grandfather Jay and my mom and now me as a fourth generation, Tarleton student, I wanted to figure out a way to tie in leaving a legacy with honoring my mom, thanking her for her contributions, honoring our family, and kind of highlighting, what that means to me and what her contribution meant to me. So.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to do that, but you created a scholarship fund. I need you to dumb this down as much as possible. How do you even do something like that?
Okay. Actually, Tarleton made it relatively easy. I actually I had the idea. So a little bit of backstory. Her 60th birthday was coming up. It's a large birthday, and I wanted to do something special, make it commemorative. And her birthday is in July, and I was thinking about this kind of in January. I was like, well, I want to do something big for her for this birthday. And I got the idea of, because she's not a very materialistic person. So, we value, big moments and big events and making memories. So I tried to think of something that would help honor that, right? And it just kind of came to me. And, 7 months before your birthday. And I was like, okay, this is it. That's right. This is exactly what I need to do. And I didn't really know where to start, so I literally just called up to the scholarship office, and I was like, hey, I don't know if this is where I need to go, but I'm sure one of you can point me to who I need to speak to create a scholarship for this. And they did, and they got me connected to the right people. And it was with a couple of phone calls, a couple of emails, and we were able to get it created immediately. So it was great.
Now, did you have to put money into the scholarship fund to get this thing going?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's an annual scholarship. So there's annual donations that are made. And it was literally just as simple as transferring funds, moving the donation over, creating the name, and going from there.
So who receives this scholarship?
Yeah, so students of the Manufacturing Engineering Technology Department here on campus, or in the Engineering Technology Department, or now the School of Engineering. It's since changed since I've been here. But Manufacturing Engineering Technology students. So that's my degree, and I wanted to continue honoring that. It's not one of the bigger degrees here at Tarleton in terms of volume of students. And it especially, or at least in my time, wasn't really represented with, female students. So we were pretty much the minority there. And I wanted to be able to, it's not directed at necessarily female students, it's for anyone, but I wanted to be able to give back to the degree that, gave to me.
I love it. Fantastic. All right, Emily, the $1 million question. It's your 60th birthday, and your daughter gives that to you. tells you, hey, Mom, I created this scholarship for you. And it is the Emily Evans Roberson Scholarship, created in 2021. What did you think? What did you feel?
Oh, my gosh. It was just the gamut. It ran the gamut. I was just thrilled. I was honored. I was very humbled. I mean, it was amazing.
When you opened it, did you think of your dad in the spirit of Tarleton?
I did.
Because that keeps coming up in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, he writes this beautiful narrative about the spirit of Tarleton always being there with these people that went to Tarleton. And he
Yes.
was there with Chandler when she was going to school and after she got done.
Yeah.
And he's with you.
Yes.
And now we kind of celebrate that with this scholarship fund. Is that kind of how you felt about it?
That's exactly how I felt. This is something that she gives to annually. And so every year on my birthday, she's like, happy birthday. Here's the donation.
That's really cool.
It is.
I
It
think that's
absolutely
awesome.
is.
Well, let me ask you guys this. I ask almost everybody that comes on this podcast this question. Chandler, we'll start with you. You graduated here in 2019. What does it mean to you to bleed purple?
For me, it means carrying on tradition. It means carrying on family legacy. It means honoring the people that I love, honoring the mentors that I had here in Dr. Billy Gray and Mr. Darren Davis, who are my two closest mentors that honestly helped change my life while I was here. And it means giving back. And it means helping other students find that same sense of confidence and belonging and what's right here at Tarleton.
Okay, before I ask your mom the same question, did your grandfather bleed purple?
Yes, sir, he did.
Absolutely he did. I didn't know the man, but he did. I promise you. All
Yes,
right,
he did.
Emily, you're on the hot seat. What does it mean to you to bleed purple?
Well, it starts with family. My grandmother and her sisters that all attended Tarleton at the same time. And then, of course, my parents and then me and Chandler. It's like a legacy.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you love about Tarleton? You personally.
Everything. It's home. It's family. It's tradition. It's just wonderful.
Chandler, what about you? I mean, it seems kind of silly to ask this question 20 minutes into a podcast, but I'm just curious. I'll ask you straight up. I don't want there to be any secrets here. What do you love about Tarleton?
I'm going to echo some of my mom's comments. Honestly, it's home. It really is rooted in where we came from, where we wanted to go, and how we want to support the community going forward. So,
the last question I have for you guys, and thanks again for doing this. I really appreciate it. Honoring your father, your grandfather, I think is fantastic. Again, he was one of the names that kept coming up as we were planning this podcast. But I want to hear about when you were going to school here. I want a good story. All right, Chandler, we'll start with you. Do you have a good Tarleton story when you were going? It could be inspiring, it could be funny, it could be whatever you wanted it to be.
oh man, it's been a minute. Maybe not quite as long as my mom's.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I had to dig that one
Wow.
in there, right? No, it's been a minute. Let's see.
Maybe it was when you walked across the stage. Maybe it was when you were accepted. Maybe it's when, a relationship that you formed while you were on campus.
Yeah, I think probably when I walked the stage. I was privileged enough to walk twice, actually, since I double majored, and so I the way my credits worked out, it was a little wonky, so I was able to walk the stage, and then I did it, I did another year, so I went ahead and did it again the next year. But when I walked the stage that first time, purple Converse in tow, I was part of the Honors College. I remember walking up, my name was about to be called, I walked across, and just as I was walking across the stage, I was like, this is it. Everything has come up to this one moment. It was kind of surreal. And then, there's a lot of stuff going around you, and, the next person is in line waiting for their surreal moment too, to be called, their name to be called and go across the stage. And it kind of just slowed down. Everything just kind of slowed down for a second. I don't know. I can't really describe it. I don't think that well, but I think that was kind of my overall peak moment there of I did it, right?
Do you think, not that you can speak for every other student that graduated during that ceremony, but do you think it was more surreal for you based on your family's legacy at this university? Surely it was. It was.
I think it was. It was definitely, thinking about the history of in 1984, my mom graduated, and my grandfather was the commencement speaker, right? So he was up on a stage giving that speech. And then my mom walked across that stage. I walked across that stage. They walked across that stage in their time. And I was like, it was just a continuation of what we are and who we are. So it rang true with me that day too.
I love it. Okay, Emily, your time. I want a good Emily Evans' story about when you were going to school here at Tarleton State University. I know you got one. Did you get in trouble? Did you do something funny? You didn't do anything?
I think there were some moments where some professors probably, out of the kindness of their hearts, let her through with a C or a D. Do you have a story about that?
I'm like my dad, I'm not athletically inclined. And when I first started Tarleton, it was in the summer of 84. And I signed up for racquetball thinking, well, how hard can that be? Well, it was very hard. I have no coordination. And Coach Sherman Perry was just about done with me. And I know he needed me to get out of that class because he wanted me out of that class. And the final involved one game of racquetball in the bottom of Wisdom Gym. And I was playing against Shelby Wright. And for those who knew him, he was a great athlete. And so I told Coach Perry I didn't want to do it. And he said, Evans, just get in that corner and let him serve 12 times and you're done. And that's exactly what I did. I hid in the corner.
Last question for you, Emily, and then we're going to close things down on this episode of Bleed Purple. This is a rhetorical question, but I'm just going to ask it, okay? Would your dad be proud of this young lady sitting next to you? Went to his school, the one that he loved and cared about, created a scholarship in the name of his daughter. Would he be proud of her?
Absolutely. He was very proud of her during her lifetime, and no doubt he would be extremely proud of her and the progress that she's made.
Thank you guys so much again for doing this.
Thank you.
Emily and Chandler Roberson on Bleed Purple, the podcast that celebrates anything and everything Tarleton State University, telling the story of Tarleton through the stories of the people who bleed purple. I'm your host, Drew Myers.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Doug McLemore is the founder of McLemore Financial Group and a proud Tarleton graduate and supporter. The company specializes in providing personalized financial planning and investment strategies tailored just for you. Whether you're saving for retirement, planning for your child's education, or seeking to grow your wealth, their experienced advisors are here to guide you every step of the way. You can find them at 1529 West Lingleville Road in Stephenville, or on the web at mclemoregroup.com, or give them a call at 254-968-1020 to schedule your free consultation. McLemore Financial Group is your partner in financial success. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through McLemore Financial Group, a DBA of Advisor Resource Council, a registered investment advisor. McLemore Financial Group and Advisor Resource Council are separate entities from LPL Financial.